Jonathan coming in.
There he is.
There he is.
This thing was filthy. CJ Juice here. Hello. Okay, here we go. See? Gotta get this area.
Zoom won't fix my screen for some reason.
What'd you say?
Zoom won't fix my screen.
I can't turn it off. CJ! Mr. Juice here, come on. Look at Juice in the middle of the street.
Alright, we on. Alright, cool.
Hold on. Wait, I'm gonna move Sunni car.
What you on your iPad?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna move Sunni car. You can park the Alright.
Last week I used it switched it up.
Alright, I'm gonna
Wait, CJ, I gotta move your car.
I'm gonna leave and come back.
Alright.
Don't forget to come back.
Alright, then when you come back, I'll shut it off. I'll play the intro music. That was go live. Just loving people.
Oh.
Go.
You make it outside?
Um,
Just for essentials? Still in essential mode?
Yeah. Yeah, new superintendent. In fact, I was up at the office last week.
Or at the school?
Yeah.
How y'all making out with the whole transition? Y'all start talking about next year?
Yeah, he's trying to have some kind of fundraising drive to get a device in every student's hand, stuff like that.
Okay. When you going
Yeah.
when you gonna head out? You got any plans
I
to
don't.
start moving around?
Nah, I'm gonna fall back. I'm gonna let people get out there first, test the water.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm gonna go ahead and
Mm,
make my I make my rounds, but it's the people where I know they ain't going nowhere because I ain't going nowhere. And I'm gonna see what happens. I want to travel so bad, man.
yeah.
But I'll let them go ahead, let the guinea pigs go,
Yeah.
and see what's going on with them, and just pay attention. I got a credit for my last flight,
Oh, okay.
so it's already paid for. So I'm just waiting.
Mm.
Kind of topics you got today?
I was going to talk about the world topic.
Huh?
I was going to talk Kaepernick and police brutality. What it mean? That's what I'm going to talk about.
Whew. Mm.
Keep it one. Keep it. It's only one topic to really.
Looks like they're doing a July start, NBA.
Yeah, July 31st.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's back, huh?
Yeah, we got it now.
All right, cool. I was going to mute y'all, then play the intro, then come in.
Did you send the tag in FB yet?
Yeah.
Or you gonna do that in a minute?
I'm about to do that now.
All right.
Sports Talk Live for the culture. How's it going, fellas?
Good. Going great.
How's it
Beautiful
going,
day out.
Jonathan? Beautiful day, beautiful day. Definitely going to gotta get out here, get some of the sunshine. Already did my treadmill work in. Got that done. Did my 5K on my on my way back. You know, to get back playing. Definitely. Um, so how's it going, Jonathan? How you doing?
I ain't nothing got Nate on the line right now.
Hey, what's up with Nate?
I don't know. You know, you feel like he do one, he can disappear for 8 months. You know,
Yeah.
you might not see him till December now.
Okay,
Yeah.
definitely. We'll have to have a convo with Nate and see what's going on with him. But today, definitely want to talk. There's really one subject to talk about, and it has its way back to sports. The nation, as we speak, is dealing with a long topic, a long discussion that predates us, predates our parents, predates our parents, and that's dealing with the death of unarmed African Americans at the hands of the police. Nonviolent. We're not talking about people who are shooting up the place or doing those type of things. We're talking about maybe passing a $20 bill that leads in your death. We're talking about running and getting shot. Now, they weren't even police officers. We're talking about you doing bird watching in Central Park and a lady that you asked to follow the rules that are posted begins to weaponize her whiteness against you, saying that, I'm going to call the police and say an African American male, emphasis, African American male, is threatening me. So we had Mr. Floyd, Greg Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, also where Philandro Castile was shot and killed years ago, was taken into custody for apparently he was either forgery or he may have handed a fake $20 bill that led to his death in police custody. Police was recently charged, and just recently, but it was a few days, and subsequent protests, riots, craziness has jumped off all around the country. We go back and we talked about this topic with Colin Kaepernick being bringing a notice with a nonviolent protest, kneeling down during the anthem, what caused a lot of controversy, and people were really up and really upset at that. You don't disrespect the flag along those lines. But what is interesting to me, and we can have a discussion. What's interesting to me, the people who were fired up about that, the people who were enraged about the disrespect of our flag, people that also, we all got Facebook friends, that lead toward government intervention, government tyranny, government taking over, government in our lives, have not had the same passion or the same fervor or the same postings about the death of Mr. Floyd. And when you talk about, we're not talking about, these are the people that post Sandy Hook didn't happen, they're actors and stuff like that. So when you talk about and this is my feelings, when you talk about tyranny and you talk about oppression from the government, that wasn't hypothetical, that wasn't metaphorical. The government literally had its knee on a man's neck and he died. So, if your number one worry is about the tyranny of the American government, the tyranny that we're being oppressed, the tyranny Where's your post? Where is the outrage? Why aren't you snapping at this? And now some people have gone by and posted or something. Oh, that was wrong. Oops. But it ain't with the same fervor.
Nah, nah.
It ain't with the same passion.
Nah. And look, it's a thing where people, what people don't understand is it's a feeling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can't you can feel energy.
Yeah.
So the energy is not there. There's no uproar. There's no uproar, and we can't feel it. So for me, it's like when things like this happen, right? We all witnessed it now because we have footage, right?
Yep.
It's no more your word against his word. Like, no, the tape, the footage lets you decide what really happened, and we watched it. So we watched a death is what we watched, and we watched a slow death. But like you said, I was upset. You were upset. Why isn't everybody upset? But when Kaepernick took a knee, nobody died. He didn't threaten anybody. He just knelt. And we got this energy from all over the country. Like, he's crazy. He's disrespecting people. But we get a death that was on film, and there's no uproar from everybody. That's the puzzling thing for me. So what it does is, when things like this happen, you get to see who leans over that way and who leans over this way. And then you almost can make your judgment on where they stand. That's just how it is, Some people don't care what happened because it doesn't affect them, and some people do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of it has nothing to do with the race. It's about humanity.
Yep. This
man was killed, and you witnessed it, and you don't have anything to say, but a guy protests by kneeling, and you in an uproar. So for me, I know where you stand, where all this comes. You've seen this man kneel. I heard you from miles away.
Mm.
But then a guy gets a knee on his neck till death. I don't hear from you at all. You put yourself in a place yourself. I didn't do it,
Yeah. Jonathan, what's your take, your feeling?
It's just like both of y'all said. It's just like you can't be against one and with the other, but this is extreme though. This is not like somebody got tased.
Yeah.
Somebody was resisting arrest, and and he got killed, and he got this is something different. This man was handcuffed to the ground already. He was no threat to anyone. Like a lot of times, when I see things and I see, people getting hit by cops and stuff, but when I look on it, sometimes it's like, well, he's trying to put the cuffs on you, not allowing him to put the handcuffs on you.
Mm.
Like, that's a totally different story than this situation. This man was handcuffed on the ground, laying down with his face to the ground, and then you keep hearing he couldn't breathe, and you just act like it was nothing. Act like,
Don't forget to stare into the camera.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, and that's the thing. Like the culture of what goes on in the culture that you feel very confident I can do this in broad daylight. Being videotaped.
I can do it broad daylight with a camera on me.
And I'm not expecting any repercussions. Like it's not in behind the alley, back in the squad car. They put you in a paddy wagon, you get lumped up or anything like that. This is in broad daylight.
The thing about it is, what's going to end up happening is an innocent cop is going to be just sitting somewhere doing patrol and get shot in the head.
That has happened before.
And the sad part is, that's probably not going to even be one of the cops that would have killed one of us. That's the sad part on the other end. That might have been one that was pulling for us. Like, we don't know. But that's
and this is the interesting thing you say about that, Jonathan, because this has has had many police department, police chiefs, people posting and saying, "Hey, this is wrong. Like this is not us. This is not what we do. We don't want any ties to that. This type of activity makes it more difficult for us when we try to police." I've seen more of that with this incident than I've ever seen before. Definitely from all over the country, and
I think part of that was because, not to saying some of the murders and some of the things we've seen was justifiable, but if you're resisting, you're resisting. You're resisting. I gotta give force to you in order to handcuff you. I gotta do more to you because I'm not gonna be able to handcuff you. So with this case, we seen this man handcuffed to the ground.
In the preliminary video from the camera stores where he was walked across the street, something happened. I don't know, he fell or.
So only thing you should have been doing was picking me up and putting me in the back of the truck.
Maybe you didn't want to go in the truck.
If I did have a bounce check or whatever the case was.
Or $20 bill, bad $20 bill. Like how do you?
And I really should have just got a citation. I didn't even.
I didn't even know like the $20 bill. Like you get arrested for bad. Like somebody could hand you. Look, that's my bad. Let me give you another one. I don't.
Right.
I know people said they got money straight from the bank and it was fake. I mean, I heard it.
And you move in and I think that is the issue that you see in the rage and the thing that it leads to, which it always leads to, and it's been some suspicion on who's actually in these protests or whatever, or people provocative. But the time this came in, we're in unprecedented times. We're on lockdown. You can't eat outside. You can't go places. We got record unemployment. We got, COVID-19, which has hit the African American community disproportionate to our population with health issues and access to health. You had all that going on, and you still maintain some type of police brutality, which is crazy. But when you talk in the realm of all that going on, the haves and the have-nots, and I've been fortunate to be able to stay employed and work from home, me and my wife. Everybody hasn't had that benefit. But with all this unemployment, with all this going on, people getting food and stuff like that, you haven't had any type of craziness, looting, or anything like that. Everybody has played their position in society with this going on, and
it was a certain sense of calm,
Yeah, it was like, look, we're just trying to maintain. We're just trying to make it through this pandemic. And then you have, and I think it was, and people have spoken on it, I think it was a whole effect of everything that happened in Georgia with the young man that was shot and killed in February by non-police officers, and they weren't arrested till the film got out. And everybody was like, well, they're not even arrested. And then you had the situation in Central Park where you clearly see, where clearly individuals know the situation and the nuances of how as a white woman you relate, because people really don't like to talk about race or whatever. They just we keep it 100 a beam, so I'm gonna call it like it is. Yeah. Like she says, look, I know my relationship with the police, and you as a black man, even though you're bird watching and a graduate from Harvard, which you didn't know, I know if I say you're attacking me and sound distressed, you're going to get your due when the police officers come here. And she knows this.
She knows it.
And it's not like this.
She knows.
And it's not like this is a conservative, liberal thing and all these people are prejudiced. She's a self-liberal. Like, she knows it. She said to herself, if you follow her, like, I'm liberal, I'm this, like that. She knows the situation. Mm-hmm. But in her frustration, she says, okay, I'm going to show you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to weaponize the police because I know how the police treat you.
Yeah.
So it's no mistake. It's not like people out here, I didn't know this was going on. I don't know. That was her whole point behind the stress in her voice, all this, and it enraged people because, like, look, you're putting his life in hands, and he's a bird watcher. It doesn't, and maybe I'm stereotyping. I think bird watchers are probably the least violent people on the planet. They may not, they may be badasses, but when somebody says they a bird watcher, I'm like, they chill. They got it. First of all, to watch birds, you gotta be quiet as hell. Like, you can't make no sudden moves. You
Patient.
you gotta be patient and chill. Like, so, and then you had the murder of Floyd, and it became just a whole, like somebody has referred to as a domino effect, and then that domino effect is just unbelievable, and it's just a situation where we that predates us. So we've been trying to deal with it, and we're three African American males, and you two both have sons that you're raising in the world, and it doesn't really matter because there is a social economic piece to it. But as we say, the hood's going to be policed harder than any place else. You're going to get least benefit of that when you're in the hood. So that's why we move out the hood. so that's why we've busted ourselves to move and put ourselves and our families in situations where we can at least try to be that. But we still black, you still got to drive home. It doesn't matter.
It don't matter you in the hood or not. It's a car ride, and it's three of y'all. Before, it used to have to be four of us in the car. Now, it only got to be two, or you can be solo, man. Before, four of us, are we gonna get in trouble with the law today? And my thing is, I actually just had this talk with a friend of mine. My thing is, like, letter to my son. That's what I've pretty much told him what I called it. His job is not to ask. And people may like take this in different ways, but his job is not to ask why is he being arrested. His job is not to ask why did you pull me over. My son's job is to stay alive until I get
home,
and then let me get my two lawyers that I got in my phone there. That's my job. That's my son's only job is to stay alive until I get there.
Yeah, we can't. Do not try to have court on the side of the road. That's not the place where you're gonna have court because you will be executed. It will be judge, jury, and executioner. You do not have court on the side of the road. And an interesting piece that comes from me, Jonathan, and Dad told me this a long time ago. And I've told this to many people. Dad told me, hey, all right, you got your license. I was 16. I got my driver's license, went and took my picture. He said, from this point on, when you go get your driver's license, you make sure you have a suit and tie on. You want a suit and tie in that driver's license picture. You get pulled over, you get stopped, your sweats, your jeans, your hoodie, whatever, it may help you. They may see you in another, they may look at it and be like, oh, what you do for a living? I'm a director of technology. Oh, okay. Like, what you like? Oh, yes, I was going to church and stuff like that. Whatever, it may help you. So it's conversations as African American males that we have in trying to deal because everybody wants to make it home safe. Right. And the interesting part you may not, is a fear factor.
Right.
It's people are fearful. And if you look throughout the history, I don't know Fannie Lou Hamer, famously, you can look her up, civil rights activist, says she doesn't understand. They know what they did to us. I mean, it's in the history books.
Right.
We've known what's been done. Going all the way back, Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, slavery, the whole night.
Oh, it's a long list.
It's a long list. So I don't understand why they wonder. Like, we upset. It doesn't. How does that? And she is right, and she is correct. And the issue is, I think the main thing is, it's something that African American, we can't correct it. We can't correct how people feel about us. It has to be a total universal platform where everybody's on board. Police officers, people we vote for, DAs, everybody has to say, nah, if somebody can murder a movie theater, can be brought into custody. If someone can murder a school, be brought into custody. I'm pretty sure we can try to get somebody that has a non-violent, he may have passed a $20 bill in custody. And one of the things, and I don't know if people noticed it in the video, Floyd still referred to the officer as sir. Even when he was dying,
Right.
he still said, "Sir, can you not MF get off me?"
Right.
Whatever. Like he was like, "Sir, can you like look?" So I think it's a very emotional thing, especially for African Americans.
Without a doubt.
Because that could be us.
Some that will still never understand, even though they watched it, they just refuse to get it, or they just don't get it.
I think people get it, but it's not a threat to them. So it's
right. So it's like they you see it, and for them it's over. It's like back to the regularly scheduled program. But for us, it's like, oh no, again. Like, wait a second. So when's the next one? Like we didn't even get the just due from the last few. So, and it happens again. So it's just like, oh man, we got to keep tearing these wounds back open again. All right, well, guess what? We have to take action, and I think that's what you see now. And what you see just not. It's a collective thing going on now with other ethnic groups also. Right. So I think the basic humanity of a person, it should upset you. That you had to witness that. And like I said before, if you do not get upset, then I think that you just solidified your place, to the other side. If something like this doesn't upset you.
Yeah. And it was a guy, he has a lot of followers too. He's a military guy, and he was upset. He was someone that was upset about the Kaepernick thing. But when he spoke on this, he was like, this is just murder. He like, this is just murder. Like this guy, he's like, he know that pretty much what I say. You gotta do a strength. The guy's resisting and everything. He said, but this guy was totally detained. Right. None of this makes sense. Like this guy was detained. Like, this is murder. He was actually mad at everybody. He was mad at the other cops that was there.
And Jonathan, that's what it goes to, like the culture, like yo, bro, yo.
He was even mad at the person that was recording. He was like, listen, it comes to a time when you got to just do something. Yeah. He was like, I understand that it's the cops, but you got to just do something. If somebody, somebody pushes that guy, the murder may not happen. Yeah. He's like, it's just something you just gotta do. Like, and he was like, he was upset at the whole picture, the whole surrounding picture, and he has a lot of them followers. He has a lot of Confederate flag followers. So, I think he opened a lot of their eyes, because when I read it, nobody disagreed with what he was saying.
Only nobody's going to disagree. Like the issue when you see something like this happen, people can't. I mean, look, that's your eyes. Somebody was asphyxiated. Like somebody, even with the coroner, is going to say he had I got underlying health issues. You cut off my air for 8 minutes, I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? Like, that's like saying you blood.
See, that starts the ball rolling for the escape. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So if I have a blood clot issue and you shot me in my leg and shot me in my arm and I died from blood clot, and that's like, well, he didn't shoot him in the head or the heart. He shot him in the leg. He started blood. No, I died because I got shot.
Right.
So when you have stuff like that, it undermines the authority. And when authority is not following the rules, and when authority, the people that you put in, and that's why elections are important, then that's when you have problems. That's when you have outrage, because you're testing our common sense. That we all saw this thing where a man had, once he was motionless and he had he had totally was unresponsive. The knee was still on his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, the knee was still on his neck. Like, he was totally unresponsive. The guy's yelling, yo, he's unresponsive. The lady that works for the fire department, she was like, check his pulse. Pulse check. What are y'all doing?
Yeah. And that was another thing.
Hey, man, listen, at the end of the day, what I saw, and, what you saw is what you saw. But what I saw was, I'm going to kill you, and that's it. You're going to die, and I'm going to kill you. And that's just where it stopped right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what anybody else saw, but I'm going to kill you slow, and that's it. And he accomplished it.
And I think, and it's the interesting part that, you have to have real conversations about race in America, and people are scared to have real conversations, about race in America. And you have to have those conversations. You got to be able to come out and say, hey, this is what I feel. And you can have a real dialogue about, how that happens. Because this is something, this unarmed or threat of us dying in these situations are so disproportionate to our population. And there's a lot of other people that get in trouble and violate and do crime and stuff like that, but they make it to the courtroom. And
you said earlier, you said, if you decide, I think what Jonathan said, if you decide that you want to get into some type of confrontation with the cops and they slam you on your back and if you get your arm broken, then, you was trying to fight.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what you were going to do to them, so you were some type of threat. But when you have your handcuffs on and somebody is holding your legs, what are you? You can't do anything to anybody.
Well, it was an interesting thing because they both worked at this nightclub allegedly, and the owner said that they were a Latino restaurant, they're doing it at a club or something along those lines, and they had like Latino night music or whatever. But she said they, like everybody, they do an urban night, so I guess that's when we there. You know what I mean? But I thought we would be there Latin too. But she said the whole tension, the whole atmosphere was different. They were more ready to call for backup, more ready to call for police, more ready to grab this. She said they were anxious and she described as jittery. And when you have that anxiousness and jittery, and you also have a license to kill from the state, things happen. And I don't want like you're at a club. Like I don't, things happen at clubs, or whatever. I don't go out to clubs pretty much. I'm past my club hopping stage. You know what I mean?
I hope you are.
But usually it was with the let out when people know you've been patted down. There's some issues that happen, but it's just interesting that it all comes down to, all right, this is fear. You fear for your life is usually what we heard. I was scared. I was fearful. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I shot somebody in a split second reaction. You're not fearing for your life when somebody's handcuffed behind their back.
No,
and you got two other officers on top of this guy, and you're not feeling for your life. Like you don't even.
Comes down to down to, like I said, I'm going to kill you, and the look that you gave in the camera once again was, I don't care if you film me, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to murder you right here. And then that's what he did.
Yeah. It's just crazy on how everything, like how they take everything. Like they know they're going to kill so many people. Like, for instance, my friend I work with, he was in the military and everything, and he goes shooting with his friends. He says his friends shooting accuracy is way higher than what's posted.
Yeah.
He said because what's posted is like, oh, he has a chance of missing.
Yeah.
He said, but my friend accuracy is better than mine. He said, I'm in the military, I don't miss. He said, but his accuracy is easily a 98. He said he is very accurate with his gun.
Yeah.
But on paper, he's an 80. Like because they can have that to say, okay, if he was 99 accurate, it's like why he knew he could have shot this guy in the finger, you know, because and that's something I never could get. Like, why did you just shoot him twice in his head, twice in his chest?
Well,
I don't care who resisted. If you shoot somebody in the toe, they're gonna pull them hands out and let you handcuff them. I don't care where they get shot at. You don't gotta shoot nobody in the head because
people they said they're taught to shoot center mass. But the interesting part, but here's the thing where the interesting part of it, and I, you know, my man Ed Miller, we shared my post. I was out, and he had a beautiful post about 1982 when our schools were all segregated, and we came together to form Academy Park and the first football team. And shout out to Chad, he cuts my hair and everything like that. I need to go see him. How we all came together and played. It's almost like remember the Knights, remember the Titans. So you've developed like relationships over the years with different people of different races, you know, going to school together, friends and things like that. But you still have this fear of the unknown. Like, it's just, you would think that you would have a better opportunity because of those relationships. You know, you would think that, hey, you know, I went to school with African American players. I played with them. We've been in the huddle together. We went to school together. We went to prom together. He ate over my house, whatever. You would think that developing that maybe like this guy, all right, he wrote a bad, he used a pad 20 in a pandemic. Maybe he was hungry or whatever. That they would lead to some understanding. But we're still coming back to this, and that's why I say it has to be a platform for everybody, that we want everyone to get home safe and everyone to have the opportunity to have their day in court, because we're not going to progress. That's the only thing that's going to tear America down, and it's been a long time. It's not us. I mean, I don't think African Americans can fix the problem. They can't. Brought it on.
No.
Because like one of my other friends, he grew up. He said it's not even we're just saying don't kill us. We're not even saying like, look, better schools, no matter what economic platform you're in, fair housing, all this other stuff. We're saying, can you take us into custody without killing us, you know, or being on edge, whatever. And in this situation was caught on tape. What if it wasn't caught on tape? What happened?
Well, there we go. That's like you said. Now, it's been plenty of us that were in custody of the cops back in the day before technology. They somehow died, but we can't bring those up. You know, we can't do it because they gone. So now we're witnessing, you know, the tape, and we know what happened now because remember, you could lie before. Oh no, you know, this didn't happen, and we handcuffed him and he just started choking. Now we know you're lying then, but we didn't have any footage.
right.
Now we got the footage and it's still not enough. So that's not an African American problem. You know what I mean? That's a racist, systematic problem that we don't need to fix. You need to fix that, you know?
Because you have...
It's like nobody wants to break it. Like, nobody wants to be the judge that send the white guys to jail for killing the black guys. You know,
right. So
but in Minnesota,
when you have that, when you say that, you know what that means to all of us? You don't care about me, and you are a racist.
Yes.
And you don't care if I live or die. Well, you want to see me die. And that's where it comes to, because it keeps happening, and then we watch who the culprits are, and nothing happens to them. So it's okay to kill a black person.
Well, you know, and that was the whole thing I had with the Philandro, is Castile, his last name, in Minnesota, Minneapolis too. He was a gun owner. He worked in schools. He worked in the cafeteria. Was a very hardworking guy. And when this jumped off, I know he had a gun. He was a gun owner, and he worked in schools. I know you work in schools. You know the FBI clearance you got to get.
Right.
So I knew he was because he's working in a school district. Like,
right.
So I was like, if he was gonna, I mean, he told the police officer, "Hey, I have a gun. I mean,
Yeah.
a gun opener," and he ended up getting shot and killed. Everything, you know, he said,
Right.
"Well, I'm gonna get my stuff out, whatever," and he ended up being shot and killed. Now, I have people that are Second Amendment. Don't take my guns. I don't. I don't want them to take our guns. Obama's going to take our guns. I'm pro gun. Everybody got to have it. Fine, what you believe in. But if one of your gun carrying, right to carry people gets shot, it's not a. Where's the uproar? Once again, where are you at?
Wasn't the
Crickets.
right person. Wasn't the right person.
Yeah. Cats showing up on
Which, like I said,
cats showing up to
we
Capitol
say,
Hill with AR-14s.
yeah, like we said, like I said before, is you can find out, like, people put themselves in a space. You don't have to put them in that space. And when I say that, is okay. You see this, how this happened, and we go back to Kaepernick.
Yeah.
You hear an uproar for a man kneeling, but somebody dies, and I don't hear you. So you put because I don't hear you, you put yourself in that space. I didn't do that, you know.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, and people own guns. I'm for it. Own guns. I don't. My wife owns a gun, and I'm not. But if my whole situation is, here's your chance at a platform when you talk again about government overreach, government tyranny, government. Well, my man he was a card carrying, working for a school district, so he had to pass FBI checks, and he just told the person, look. Officer was acquitted. The only last person was the Somalian guy in Minneapolis, Minnesota, who shot the white female. Yeah, he's doing 12.5 years, and we knew he was going to jail.
Oh yeah.
Just like the lady in Central Park knew to say, we knew, you flipping, he's going to jail.
You are one of us, but
Yeah, but you have to have consistency, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you gotta have consistency. You gotta have everything about the state, and and the people. Look, crime is crime. They invent this thing called black on black crime. Like, if an Asian person shot me and killed me, y'all gonna be just upset if a black person shot and killed me. Nobody's gonna be like less upset or more upset.
right.
But you extrapolate the social economics out of that into, well, we're worried about our lives when they stop me. I'm 50 years old.
Well, it's not we're going to be more upset. They're going to lean more towards the Asian guy and let the Asian guy really explain how he was afraid. If I would have shot you, they would have just said, "Oh, Johns is a cold-blooded killer."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Give him life. He killed somebody, give him life. But they're not going to do the same thing with the Asian guy. They say, "Okay, well, why did you feel like you had to kill him?" And they want to really know. And they want to really listen to his story.
Oh yeah. They go into what see, the whole process starts even before you even get to the courtroom. It's just like, okay, well, where did the Asian guy work at? Oh, he worked here, and he worked here for 10 years. Now they painting a beautiful picture of him, already. But when it happens to you, it's like they took a picture of you. You might have just woke up out of bed. There's no smile, and you need a cut, but it's just one of those days. Now they paint this picture of, see, this is what I'm talking about.
But I think that the underlying thing is in
the conviction starts way before you even get to
the acquittal. Yeah, and
even in the trial, they got the Asian guy going to trial in a suit. They got me shackled up, foot, feet, handcuffed,
all orange.
They got the jewelry, bulletproof vest, bulletproof glass up around the jewelry. They already painted me out to be this animal.
Well, the thing about the interesting piece, and when you look at it, is, and I'm the most. If you all know me all my life, I'm jovial, funny, crack jokes, down with everybody. I got a lot of different interests from cooking to sports or whatever, and have
You know yourself, man.
yeah, you know yourself. But at the time, you got to remember, and you can't lose sight of how much people are threatened by you or
Yeah.
afraid of you if you lose your temper or get mad. It's to the, like, you can't really, you got to really control yourself, because if you do that, you are a threat, and it all goes back to being afraid of African American men. Like, it's only seen, and
Hey, so Demetrius just chimed in on something.
oh, what did Demetrius say?
He said he did 8 years. He's a U.S. Did you see it? He's a U.S. Army.
Okay,
He did 8 years in the Army.
hold on, let me see.
You want to touch on it?
Hold on. Let me get the. I had it up here. Hold on. Sports.
Let me get some shout outs real quick.
All right, shoot him out.
Got cousin David,
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Shelly Blackstone. How are you? Terrence Bonnie. I think you're out in Colorado. I believe. What's up, brother? Class of '92. Dougie Fresh. Mr. Andre Hayes. Terrence Mack. What's up, Hall of Famer? How you doing, brother?
Hey,
Susie
dog, I need one of them grills, dog. I need a grill.
Naja Goodwin. Thanks for joining.
Oh, thanks for good. Yeah, Demetrius, my cousin, big time Eagles fan. Shout out to your quarterback for what he wrote. It was very. A lot of people haven't said anything, but he felt the need to speak on it. Being from Dakota, check out Carson Wentz's, his Twitter response to the situation. And yeah, how you feel as the enemy of criminals, it's up to you. So there's no excuse for that officer. Knew exactly what he was doing, which I know y'all know too. Yeah, I mean we do know, and the thing about it is the your perception of how the people feel about you and how you care. No matter, like, you have so many brothers like us and Doug and Nate, and everybody knows that. Everybody says that. Well, we know all black people aren't criminals. Everybody says that all white people aren't racist. We all know that's common sense. Yeah, we know that.
Right.
But society says by your skin tone or whatever how we engaged you and how we relate to you. And I think when the brother Bojan got shot in Texas, when the police officer, she went to the wrong apartment.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah, when she went to the wrong apartment.
You mean the one he was smashing? That one?
That was never proven in the court of law, allegedly. But I was hoping that they knew each other. I was hoping that, this is something that went wrong. Because what I didn't want to have is brother sitting on his couch eating ice cream, and somebody walked in the room by accident, and we've all been in cookie cutter hotels, cookie cutter apartments. They're like the floor, where all the floors look alike. We've all gotten off the elevator on the wrong floor. We've all done that. I've done that. Everybody's done it, especially you go away or whatever. You usually don't do it in your home, but it's feasible. It's possible. You make a mistake, you get off on the wrong floor, whatever. But to me, that could have been resolved without killing somebody. Like, you got to go 0 to 100 real fast. Like, if I walk in, if you walk into an apartment and you walk in and say somebody's eating ice cream, it's not like they're creeping around. They're on the couch in long day. I got my shorts on in chill mood. Your first thought should be like, I would think your first thought would be, man, I'm in the wrong place. Like, or am I in the right place? How that went to killing him, that's quick.
Yeah.
And so when it didn't, I was like, man, what else could he been more not threatening than eating a bowl of vanilla ice cream on the couch in your shorts and your t-shirt?
That's when the other story starts to come out,
and it's just unreal that that you would think, well, maybe you had to think, everybody thought, well, something that's going on here. This just seems, and you're a trained professional. It wasn't like she was a nurse, a doctor, whatever, with a concealed carry that doesn't deal with situations of, diffusing. You've been trained in this. Like, you're a trained police officer. You're trained in a situation to diffuse it. But that situation went to deadly force. It's unbelievable. And the guy. I would think even if you were looking for a suspect and you went into his home and he was eating a bowl of vanilla ice cream on the couch, you still not allowed to shoot him. Like even if he was I think that's maybe not in the rule book. I'm not sure, but that's the main thing. And you think in the way that we've always talked about sports, and sports has been unification, sports playing together, having teammates from different backgrounds, learning different things, different races. We're all human race, but coming together for a common goal or cheering or whatever. You will hope that we would be talking less about this than more about this.
Right.
And that's what you hope, and that's why I've always been a big fan of sports. I've always been a big fan of having your kids play sports,
absolutely
to be able to be involved in different things, and that's the positivity of sports. Sports can have some people with some understanding that, and some people could be like, hey, you know what, that could have easily been Sunni, Floyd.
Oh,
Players would be like,
hey, soon, yeah, to chime on that, what you were saying about the sports and how you were thought, some of these people have, different perspectives because they play sports with African Americans. It's like, if you got an infection from anything in this world, and you taking the medicine, or sports is the medicine, but then you go back home and you get the medicine, you get the infection put back in you,
Oh.
It's only but so much you getting the medicine, the antibiotics for it. But once you go back home and you getting the poison put back in you,
it's almost like when OJ said, "I'm not black, I'm OJ." You know what I mean? It's almost like that's not John. Man, John is black, but he's not. And I think which is the Do the Right Thing movie by Spike Lee is still relevant today. I mean, the whole movie he did. Jonathan, I don't know if you saw Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, a little bit of it.
Yeah, go watch it because it's very relevant today. When he sits down and talks to what's it called in the shop and saying, you're upset, you're in a black neighborhood, whatever, but your favorite basketball player is Magic Johnson. Your favorite artist is Prince. But they're black and they're kind of black. Well, that's what you think. That's what you hope. Through playing athletics and playing sports and getting to know each other, you build bonds over time. And I got friends on my teams. Like I said, I say this all the time. I couldn't tell you who was in my English class, but I can tell you everybody I played with. I can tell you everybody's on my team, who I lined up with, whatever. Who was in physics? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
But my teammates, oh, definitely. And
it's the ultimate brotherhood and sisterhood if you get yourself involved in sports, man. Because listen, if depending on where you grew up, where the demographics are, some of us, that's the only experience we'll have with another ethnic group,
Yeah.
So what happens is you end up being around other ethnic groups while playing sports, and you might have been told some things that probably you either had to look out for and you found out they might not be true.
Yeah. And
so, now you can be different and still be very likable and still be a great person. You know what I mean? Because your music and my music could be two totally different views on things. The movies you watch and the movies I watch could be two totally different, genres. But somehow, some way, we're able, and it takes time, we're able to sit down and laugh about and figure out, like, you know what, man, this guy's a good dude. He might be a little weird, but he's a real good dude. But see, that's the understanding that you end up having. So now I get to see, some of the guys that I was told to watch out for, vice versa.
Yeah.
And now I'm walking up the street and I don't feel as uncomfortable before I was even, was able to connect with that specific ethnic group. You know what I mean? Because I had a chance to have some experience with them. You know?
Yeah, and it's all like a fallacy.
It was big, man.
It's all like a divide and conquer type thing. Like it's all, it's power to the people. It's definitely, and I think the thing that like sports and Jalen Rose had talked about it. He had said, "Look, you can fall in love with black culture, but you gotta love black people.
Oh,
Music, sports, and all like that. Jordans, things of that nature. But you have to have that same respect, for the people in the community, because we've been trying to get past this, and it's like, damn, like you want to talk about sports, you want to move forward, you want to do stuff.
Say one step forward, two back.
And it's not like we saying people don't have it hard. I think that's what you want to like. That's what people losing translation. We're not just saying that you didn't have it hard, but I'm saying being black adds another layer to that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not saying Vince Lombardi's not a great coach that worked hard. I'm not saying Tom Landry's not a great coach that didn't work hard and get to where he got. I'm not, saying Joe Gibbs, Washington, up all night. But at that time, if they were African American, they wouldn't have got that opportunity. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have gotten. They wouldn't have got that opportunity.
They can have down years. They can have rebuilding years. They can have those.
But they even had the opportunity. I mean, like in the '70s, like
right.
me and Duke watching football, whatever. Like that's just like it's like head coaches that like you have to have the assumption that there's Rich Kotite, and then every other black person on the planet is believe him as far as leading and moving forward, and the pressure of everything. I was looking about to get this book about the first 13 commission. They called the Golden 13. The Navy was like really last in grade, and the pressure they had to get positions where you become an electrician and all this kind of stuff in the service. Because when we were in the service, we were just mess hall cleaning and stuff like that. And they said, we want to try to get these guys to be commissioned officers. So, it was 13 of them that went on to become commissioned officers in the Navy, the first black people to do it, like in the 1940s. So you have to, people have great pressure. That's pressure. You know what I mean? Like, because it's not you, it's about you and everybody else that comes after you, moving forward. So that's the Golden 13. Check it out. It's very good. But I think that's, you can sit down and have real conversations with people and say, hey, this is an issue and a problem. And usually it grows. Like it usually starts African American or poor communities, and they're not synonymous because you got wealthy black people out here too, middle class black people. But it grows. Like we have this opioid epidemic, this drug epidemic. That's crazy. So a lot of things grow, and this is something that may, if you're treating one group of people one way, it may grow to treat other people that way. And you don't want to see anybody treated bad or whatever. But I think this is an opportunity, and I think moving forward that don't get caught up in. You need to focus in on what the message was about. You need to focus in on what kneeling was about, and the only way it's going to be corrected is by voting. And everybody has to be part of it. I mean, all people, all races, police departments, everything. This guy had 13 citations on him, or 13 reprimands on him. So I mean, who you work with. When you go to work.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But we can't forget too, and I'm sure that they're not. But I just think we kind of know the mindset of the cop that actually physically murdered Mr. Floyd. But keep in mind too, like there was other officers right there just walking around like hum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum.
Yeah.
Hum-dee-dum-dee-dum. All right, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you're still choking. 4, 5, and they still walking. Hum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum. Like it's nothing, Like it's no all right, man, you gotta let him up. Like, come on, that's enough now. You
Yeah.
like, really?
Yeah, it's like,
So y'all all watch the man just the life get squeezed out of it. Okay.
yeah, and I think that triggered a lot of people. A lot of people were like,
Oh,
I think I watched him one, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's insane. Like, you know, at one
and then
point.
and
it wasn't it wasn't like they had apprehended. Not saying what that, you know, it wasn't like they apprehended somebody with a vicious criminal. Like it's a guy that was running around beheading people. You know, he was throwing grenades in the in old folks' homes or something like that. Like it was like they thought he passed a bad 20.
A bad 20.
That's what they say, like a bad 20 check during a pandemic. It's just
Yeah, it's definitely sad all the way around, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't even. Did they confirm that it was a bad 20? I don't even. Bad check. I heard the check was really bounced.
It's a check bounce, bad 20. We really don't know. It's so.
All right, okay, put the cuffs on. We're gonna get you back in this paddy wagon, and we drop you off, and then it's done.
Man, even if you don't want to get in the car, or whatever, killing you is not going. I don't get it. Like I don't. It was no danger.
That he was Steven Jackson's brother.
I don't know if he was his brother. He looks like.
I don't think they were related,
but they look a lot alike.
Look alike.
Yeah, and I think people assume they think it was, you know, they do favor one another, you know.
They took a picture. They had a picture of them together.
Yeah, he said he helped him out a lot. Like he was like in charity events he would do, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And
we got some shout outs real quick.
Oh, shout him out.
Got my youngest brother, fifth born Royce Castro.
Hey, what's up, Royce?
April Kemp, Mr. Ira Madison, Sharon Lynn Montgomery, Mr. Veronica Woodard, STGN, Lauren Orff, and Mr. Iron Michael Starks.
Oh, thank you for
joining.
Thanks
for joining, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. And I think you see the reaction, and you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to. It happens all the time. It's going to explode. But the thing about Minneapolis, that's a very multicultural neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like I have a friend that went to Franklin and Marshall that lives out there, not too far from where she could smell that her house smells like smoke and everything out there. And it's like, all right, so we have this destruction of property, we have looting, which is wrong. Everybody knows that. And the people feel as though like you didn't charge until we did all this. Like he was like, all right, the guy, like the reporter asked, like, well, what happened in the last 12 hours when y'all was still investigating? Like, what happened? You know what the hell happened. The city went berserk. They went berserk all over the place. They went berserk in Atlanta. So it's not about, you know, it's a system. Because it's all about people not going to, and the funny part I had brought up before, with all the stress and with all the stuff people are going through, with this record unemployment, like 40 million people unemployed. People living check to check, not getting checks. You know what I mean? Nobody looted nothing. We didn't have, man, everybody was playing a position. They probably felt like, man, I ain't got it. Like I don't have a job. I can't go nowhere. Like I can't get to work.
It was a sense, like I said before, it's kind of been a sense of calm for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, all right, this is too calm. Let me crank it back up again. Let's crank the heat up. Like the COVID wasn't enough, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so now here we are. So just go ahead and sprinkle some of this gasoline right back on this fire and then just light it. And so backwards we go again.
And, you know, I hope that it could spark some real conversation. Like you know, real conversation about race in America. And because that's the number one. It's still the number one thing.
Uh-huh.
It may not be number one for other people, but as African American men on here,
it's definitely not number one for other people.
And
that's what it's not.
Duke's raising a son. Jonathan's raising a son.
Oh,
you know that's.
Hey, listen, man. It's the thing that I think, and this is collectively, but more so to, you know, us, is you have to raise your kids as African Americans, they have to know who they are,
Mm-hmm.
and culturally and historically, you have to know who you are, and you got to educate the other ethnic groups around you. You can't wait for other ethnic groups to educate you, because that's a lot of what's happening now. Like, I'll be damned if I let another ethnic group educate me in college or anywhere else to tell me about me, So but that's a lot of stuff that happens at home, and it's different for us. Like, listen, other ethnic groups can't deny it. It's different for us. So because listen, I'm with the whole, diverse thing, and playing sports. You got friends that are Hispanic and, they're white. But at the same time, it helps when I'm around them to have healthy conversations, because they don't know. They don't know what it's like to be black. They don't know.
Yeah.
So how about we just have a healthy one while we cracking a beer, and then everybody feels good after.
And people, and an interesting thing, I think sometimes it gets to be selective amnesia. We're looked as a whole. We don't have the individuality. If something happens and a black guy did it, we got to carry that burden. You know, like if you go to the bank, like the funny story about the guy who was trying to cash the checks from the what did he won? He won a discrimination lawsuit, and the banks didn't cash his check. They tried to say it was phony.
So let's get him. With another one.
So he's like, so you just didn't cash checks from a guy who just won like a discrimination lawsuit. So like it was hilarious. But at the same time, like I believe it's understood that we have this responsibility, that we're looked at as a whole. Like it's when they chasing one of us, the old saying, they chasing all of us, and people understand that. That's people aren't about you treating criminals soft on criminals. No, when somebody gets taken in for a lesser charge or whatever, if you're going to treat him a certain way, the time you're going to treat me the same way as you just treated this other black person. So black people were like, no, you need to treat them correctly. Nobody's like, you don't want to arrest criminals. But at the same time, we don't want somebody to die in custody, because what if I'm mistaken? You break me in and die in custody. We're all looked at as one collective group, and that's one of the big issues. And then people don't understand when we react that way. It's like, well, why are y'all upset about this? Because that could be me. That could be Duke. That could be Jonathan. Yeah. And people rationalize it. Well, a black guy did rob this place in '95, so that's why we hopped on you. Like, that wasn't me. I wasn't here in '95. Yeah, but that's what you have to deal with, and those are the things you have to take in consideration. And it's funny that people don't understand it. They don't get it, but they do understand it because. And I think that's one of the dominoes effects of the Central Park thing, that you had a woman thoroughly expressing how she understood it. Like, she understood the whole nuances between how you as a black man will be perceived by the police and how I will be. And that's why I'm going to call on you for correcting me. And so it's understood, but how can people react on it or whatever? How can you correct it? And I think, sports is a way that can be able to help that, because I think you see locker rooms. I think people are coaching. I think the Miami Dolphins coach Flores, he wrote a piece. He responded and said, I'm in a lot of conversations with a lot of different groups that was hype on this Kaepernick thing.
Right.
They ain't got the same pulse, the same fever on this Floyd being killed thing. So,
hey, listen, I thought I was going to, after this whole pandemic was over, I thought I was just going to give everybody hugs.
Yeah.
But I guess I got to pull back on that, I don't want anybody to be scared. They might think my hug might be something different. I don't know. So I'm gonna pull back, I think.
Yeah, and it's and what people don't understand, and people rationalize. But I brought this point up. I said, in America, we have had numerous school shootings. Mass shootings of schools, where your perpetrators have been 90% white males of all, Like when you see going back to
Oh,
Columbine.
the examples are out here.
Yeah,
Like
Columbine.
we can go to the
Case in point.
statistics
Case in
and
point.
look
I'm
at.
sorry I said that. It's a case in point. You know, we said a lot of that time. If you think somebody's shooting up a school, you would think that'd be a white male. And there are resource officers in these schools that are armed. Correct? Because some of them carry guns. And the whole time this has happened, they haven't accidentally shot anybody. None of these kids walking around in all dark or with a book bag or whatever. You have no cases of them hopping on somebody. Or maybe the media don't report it, whatever, or take it out. I thought he been acting weird all week. He came in here in all black. He went into that book bag.
Right.
I ain't wait to find out what was in the book bag. I put two in him. You know, that doesn't ever happen. So there's an inconsistency on fear. There's an inconsistency on numerous things.
You're going to charge that and take that with you too.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. Look, many people talk about this answers. All I can know is you could just talk about it, express how you feel, put it out there, and have dialogue. Come together, play out.
Hey, the earlier you start it, the better. You know, you start talking about this stuff, man. It's you know, it's better. It's better. You know, it's plenty of plenty of examples out here to wherever you want to go to talk about any situation there was with race. They're here.
Yeah.
Here it happened. Whether it happened through you speaking with somebody or research is there for you to have examples of it. And what I do think is, people are scared to have a dialogue about it.
People are scared to be labeled. If you got this view,
dialogue about it.
You got
but
this
what
view.
would be great.
Understand why people say, well, I don't want to be perceived as racist now.
Right.
To be honest.
But you don't have to be racist to have a dialogue. You know what I'm saying? And it could be something simple as, in terms of teaching like kids, you can put them in scenarios, and just let them, see what they would do or see what makes them uncomfortable, But again, we are in a society now where you can't talk about these things, You start bringing these things up in the classroom, you might get a letter from the board or the superintendent to say, hey, wait a second, we can't be talking about this. We got to let you go. So what do you do? So now, because you might get threatened from, losing your job because of you speaking about these things, you got to sit tight-lipped, Yeah,
and it to me, it's a situation, especially an African American male. It can affect any of us, no matter what you are.
We're just saying it on LeBron's house, right?
Yeah. So we and when we're moved out, we're not in that quote the hood or whatever. So, but we still can be affected by institutional racism, and institutional racism and perceptions could at one point cost a loved one or our lives. And that's with the whole point. I think you need to have dialogue. You need, I think, sports help it.
Big time dialogue.
But
it's I think it has to be injected in the schools. Because you have some people, whether you white or white, you live in the suburbs or whatever, or you're black and you live in your urban areas. So how else are you going to bridge those gaps? Because you go to the suburbs, you might not see any of us there. And if you don't come to the urban area, we might not see you there.
Yeah.
So where's the dialogue? The place the dialogue has to happen at is in the schools where we all meet up.
Yeah.
But it's not happening. You know what I mean? And that the racism thing is being taught in the houses, So until we can get past all that stuff, we're going to see a lot of this stuff happening, man.
Yeah. It's a, and I remember, I think they try to bring us all together. I think when we were making Academy Park, South Seas Delco, I think we went to I think it was the Adams Mark Hotel for like 2 or 3 days with all the kids from the different districts or whatever, coming together to try to have some discussion. And you would think, moving forward that we would be in a situation where it's just tough. It puts such a burden. It puts a burden on the police. it adds to animosity, distrust.
But we think about this, and I'll use this example, and I've used it plenty of times, and it's just something for us to think about. So, you know, you could be, we talking team, right? Because that's what, the police are. You could be talking football team, you could be talking basketball team, you could be talking about your sisters and brothers, okay? You're a team, okay? So let's start at the house. At your house, mom, dad, or whomever, uncle told you not to do X, Y, Z to whomever, right? Now, you have four or five other brothers. Now, because you went and did something to somebody and they told you not to, now you have your brothers in some mess, right?
Yeah.
Because you should have never did what you did, right? Case in point with a football team. Coach tells you, all right, we got a big game. We need everybody to do X, Y, Z. You need you to stay here. I don't need you to get in trouble, right? Now, you the starter. All of a sudden, curfew's at 11, but you figure out you want to go float down the street to the strip club. But you got a game in the morning, so now, because you did that, punishments are coming for you. We got a big game. Because you weren't thinking about what your selfish act, right? Your selfish act, you weren't thinking about anybody else in your selfish act.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with this cop. He's a racist, right? He decided, I'm going to kill this black guy today, right?
Right.
So now what happens is it's other cops, don't get me wrong, that probably is against this type of behavior. Don't get me wrong. But what did the energy do? Right? The energy then shifted to everybody saying, you know what, I don't like y'all.
Yeah.
Because he was not thinking about, if I do something like this, what it could do. Because he was worrying about himself.
Yeah, it's a selfishness that puts people in harm's way. Because the job is difficult enough. Props, you want to be a police officer, fireman, whatever, first responder. You're taking a dangerous job. Props. Now you have the added animosity towards, and that's why I don't, like everybody says, that I don't mess with the police. They have friends that are police officers. I don't do that because I don't want to be lumped in a circle. I don't want to be stereotyped. I don't want to be, that's what us as black males deal with all the time. So I'm not going to project that on anybody else, any profession, or any other individual. What you got to be about, what you want to change in the world. So, but that part is, it's going to have, I think, lasting effects. And I think that's one of the reasons numerous police chiefs and officers have spoken out across the country condemning this act, because it's going to have long-lasting effects, because this wasn't a split-second reaction. This was a long... When you strangle somebody, that's personal. That's why I get from watching them, seeing. Anytime when somebody has strangled somebody, you put your hands around somebody's neck till they can't breathe anymore, that's personal. Like, it's like, yeah.
Very personal.
Like, they definitely want to do harm to you and feel it. Yeah, so it's, and now you have to deal with the aftermath. And now where we're going to go. It was bad enough we're dealing with COVID-19. We're dealing with the greatest pandemic of all time. Now we're dealing with this. It's just an unfortunate, sad event, and his prayers up to Mr. Floyd, his family, and the people that film it. They probably feel some type of way. There are people saying they should get intervened. I don't. You're a regular citizen. You're a regular person. You don't. You're doing the best you can. You don't. Everybody's not a fighter. You can fight the cops or whatever. You don't know if you put in that situation what you're going to do.
Right.
They did the best they could do by recording it and pleading to get off the guy. It may be, what you can do. Everybody's not Superman, whatever, and it's not their, the police should police the police. Like, what I mean? You had people paid by the people, of the people, tax dollars there. You had 4 individuals.
Right.
The burden of being a first responder, and the burden of that falls heavily on them. It wasn't like it was one person. It was you had 4 people there. You had 4
Right.
professional trained officers, and that burden falls on them, on the people. So now we got all this upheaval and all this unfocus.
Yeah, because if we all in the car and I do the shooting, y'all still getting 20 years also.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, that conspiracy charge, y'all still getting that.
Yeah, and the thing
You know?
about now we're dealing with all this other layer to times that are trying, and for some other people they just go about the day because it doesn't matter. But to us, it's like this is yeah, that's me, man. That could be me. That could be Jonathan. That could be Duke. That could be a friend. That could be your father. How we handle by the police, and you know, and we're not talking about somebody coming out of a bank with a semi-automatic firing at people that got
Nah.
killed.
Not at all.
We're talking about a guy that was, you know, somebody handcuffed behind him.
We're not even talking about a guy swinging a bat,
That-
you know. Where I never got why you just didn't shoot him in the leg. You shoot me in my leg, I'm gonna drop my bat, you know, no matter what. I'm not gonna keep charging you. I get hit in my leg. You don't gotta shoot me twice in my head, you know.
It's just a situation where we're going to have to deal with the aftermath of this. But people are going to lose focus. People are going to focus on
This is it. We in it right now, you
people,
know.
Yeah,
It's just-
people are
we
going to
in
lose
it, you know.
the focus. The focus, the most important focus to me, I can only say what's important to me, is the culture that you have that a person can do this in broad daylight looking
Oh.
into the camera. That
You know?
that
Just to know that guy exists out here scares me enough.
yeah. And he ain't the only person like that.
Nah,
like on
that's the problem.
and now people are saying, well, how many of them are there? You know, around the country that you know that you deal with. You know, 13, 14 reprimands or whatever he had. You know, he was also involved in a fatal shooting before a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, shit. The chief of police was like the Grand Master KKK member, like, you know. He the chief of police, so you can imagine what he had going on in his quarters, you know.
Yeah, you know, back it's just one of the things that, and I think you need to bring it up and talk about it and express it. You know, people can post on.
You know, we should have tried to get on. We should have tried to get Dana husband on.
Yeah, I wanted to try to reach out. I didn't know if he was working or not. I mean, he
Should have
expressed.
tried to get him on.
Yeah, dominant.
Yeah.
Because he can express. But he's also a police officer. I don't know, you know, if he's willing to talk or, you know, I can ask him. We can bring him on. It's true. We can see if he want to definitely rap and express himself. And, you know, because I got a few people there in law enforcement. I can ask them to talk and, you know, and speak on it. And definitely, because I mean, it's not us to fix, because this is a world issue. This is a United States issue. This is something that everybody. If you are anti government overreach, if you're go ahead, Jonathan.
It's only gonna get fixed. That ain't you can't change racism. That's not gonna get fixed.
It's accountability. Yeah.
Yeah.
But people start putting away.
All how this is gonna get fixed if they start doing lethal injections to these cops. That's it. Like, if they keep sending these cops home, like, this is one of the first times that I've seen fire. You know, normally it'd be suspended with pay.
Yeah.
Like, what? Gave him some sick time. I gave him sick time for that. I gave this boy a month sick time.
So we investigate.
Yeah, but you suspended with pay.
And I wonder
you know-
I wonder if anybody can answer this. Like when that
Because we know we suspended you with pay because we know you got to take care of your family. Even though you just took this man from his family,
yeah.
but we gonna suspend you with pay to take care of your family.
So, guess what I think? I think that the only way it can get settled, sadly, is the way it's being handled right now. You know, it's like, okay, you murdered a man right in front of everybody and get third degree, okay? So, okay, you got him in custody. That's one. You gave him a charge. That's two. If we don't like the charge, how about we tear this thing back up again?
And
That's the
what-
way it's looking.
You gotta get a conviction.
That's the way it's looking, though.
But
you know?
yeah, because the guy who shot Philandro Castile was found. He was acquitted. But he said he smelled marijuana. He was scared for his life. The guy said he had a gun, and and I think it pays. Who's the DA? Ed Randell, my man Cash, Cash Productions, Cash Goins does plays, and he had done a play, and Philandro Castile's mother actually came up to see it in Philly. He was doing about a jury and trial like that, and Ed Randell was in the audience, and and Cash was joking, said me and Ed Randell had a few words. No, but we were just talking about the outcome and everything like that. And Ed Randell says, that fear factor is big when the guy says he's scared. I'm in the hood, and the jury with us on him too. It's not we on him like, oh yeah, he was in the hood, he was scared. We gotta quit. Like I would have been scared too. Like he was down in Chester and he shot somebody. People shoot Chester all the time. Like that's what happens. Now this is a totally different scenario because
even though he was wrong on that, he should have been locked up for that. But this is way on the other side of that.
It's an extreme, unbelievable. You would think in broad daylight.
Oh yeah,
being filmed.
You got the where you run into all these. It's no in past. You were able to come up with different scenarios. Well, they were able to come up with different scenarios. There's no scenario to come up with.
Yeah. Oh, they're gonna say
he was reaching in his pocket.
They're gonna say he had the hypertension. They said he gonna have the sugar, and that's what led to his to try to take off he got.
Right.
You cut off his oxygen for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't breathe.
I might
Your
get
body
sugar
is shutting
and hypertension. I might get sugar and hypertension in those first 3 minutes and not breathing.
And the thing about it is, you have people that, and it's just people that just really untrained. Like he says, he was talking, so that means he can breathe. Like I'm losing my breath, I can't breathe. Like you haven't seen anybody be like, I can't breathe. What's going on? As their body is shutting down. Like like that's just. And people go with it, and it's just and people that say that like the guy from Mississippi, but it is Mississippi, but not to throw on aspersions on people, but it is Mississippi. Like it's like that's fine, but I think this is going to have, but I think you got to keep the focus that I don't want to see, and the focus that I think it should be on, and the focus I would keep pushing. What kind of culture you have? The culture that you thought you could do this. For the officers, like what kind of culture is that? Like what kind of that? It's just unbelievable. Like, and my thing, and another thing that I beat the drum with is, if you're anti-government overreach, you're anti-government tyranny, you're anti the government controlling our lives, and you're anti too much government, you're all those things. This is your cause.
Yeah, this is the problem. Like
this is your cause. Like this is.
It's not enough. It's not enough. It's too many diehard fans. It's not enough real fans. Like a sports fan understands. Okay, I don't have the best quarterback. It's like they just want to. You can't be with the cops all the time. Like you can't be.
Exactly. You can't be with the hood all the time. You can't be with the black guy messed up. Like he was robbing the place. Hey, you know what I mean? You can't be like, like definitely
that's what you gotta have in you right there.
But John, you bring a point is because they don't want to go against their team. It's like this is my team. I'm with the cops. I'm pro cops. This is my team. So, I noticed. I know we got some bad actors on that thing, but we know our star running back is beating his wife, but we need him in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Yeah. I really don't like people beating their wife, but we need him in the Super Bowl, like because I want to win. I don't want to.
So now you overlook all these abuse charges and everybody saying that this cop beat him up, this cop beat me up. So now that cop just elevates his game to murder now.
Yeah.
Y'all should have got rid of him, when he had the 2 charges, not this cop, just period. When you got 2 violent charges against you already,
There's so many cops. They have open cases about other things being roughing up people.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And usually when something like this happens, you go back and say, well, man, like he had a lot of complaints, but it's team, like you said, it's team, and you don't want to seem anti-police and soft on crime if you're running for election. That's why you get mass incarceration, led by the Democrats. Mass incarceration, they destroy families on drug stuff that everybody's making millions off now. Like everybody got a weed farm now, but we done put us behind the bar for a long time on it. And now everybody want to make millions off it. So it all becomes a team. Like, you can't have that team asset. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
Pretty much.
That's the way I view it. That's the way I view. I don't like. No, there's a stance. It's right or is it wrong? And this is wrong, and it needs to be cleaned up. And the culture needs to be
listen,
cleaned
that's
up.
one of the reasons I'm thankful for, my mom. My mom is one of those, listen, boy,
Yeah.
like, I know you mine.
Yeah.
But if you did it, you did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's no, you have some on the opposite. You can keep doing wrong. They're gonna come to your rescue even when you're doing wrong,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this is definitely, and we'll see. I mean, people are going to focus on everything else, but the main focus, if you're listening to me now, you're going to listen to this podcast. The main focus is because it's going to save lives. It's going to save African American lives. It's going to save police officers' lives. It's going to save all kind of lives. Is you need to focus in on a culture that would have an officer be able to suffocate or kill somebody in broad daylight staring into a cell phone. You need to really think about that. Like, yeah, what's gonna happen to me? This is all right, This is all right, and it's far from all right. And you just more shout out to everybody. Stay safe out there. We talking about staying safe from COVID. We just trying to stay safe. Period.
I take COVID all day before I walk into and get my neck pushed down to the pavement.
Man, and it's just times. But yo, man, I thought we needed to speak on this, man. I know we usually I thought we usually get down with sports. It has to tie in with Colin Kaepernick taking a knee and put the focus on the knee. Forget about the knee. Forget about the flag. It's a human rights issue. It's it's everybody says it's a tyranny issue. Moving forward, and that's where the focus should be on. And I think we just take time to address it because it has its ties to sports, but it's a bigger thing altogether. It's definitely for the culture. And just shout out to everybody who spoke on it. My man Ed Miller is my Facebook friend. He was part of the Academy Park's undefeated team. Had a beautiful post about them coming together, playing football and building bonds and having some understanding. And I'm pretty sure that his involvement, with all different people back in high school, probably influenced him posting that, and that's what we talk about, and that's what we need to, have those discussions, and they're hard discussions, and this is something that's universal. I think sometimes it gets pegged as it's an African American thing because yes, African Americans are disproportionately being killed for nonviolent, unarmed, or whatever you see. But also, it's an everybody thing. And it's only going to be solved if we come together and work on it. That's all I can say.
That's it. It's no other,
definitely.
Just pray for people. Make sure they stay out of harm's way.
Yeah.
And stay ready. As always, and be cautious.
Yeah, man.
Keep your head on the swivel. Things are happening.
It's crazy out here, man. It like you said, dude. The energy and tempo has just been set so freaking negatively. Like it's
you just can't find it. You can't. It's just it's hum-de-dum-de-dum. That happened hum-de-dum. But Kaepernick, man, like we said, he kneeled, and you got this lion roar from like everywhere. Yeah. So you gotta pay attention, man. People, like I say all the time, like. Things happen, and when you watch these things happen, you get to see people separate themselves. Mm-hmm. So that's ultimately what you want to know. What side you on,
Yeah, you understand it. Keep it going. But we're gonna get out of here next week. We'll be back with some sports. NBA coming up.
Peace.
And we out. Sports
Love.
talk live for the culture. In unity.
Love.
United. Power to the people.
All right.
We out.
See, great show.